Naomi Carter moved into an upscale neighborhood, but instead of warm welcomes, she was met with threats, complaints, and even police calls. What her neighbors didn't realize was that she owned their homes. What happened next will shock even the most seasoned observers, but let's start from the beginning. Lakeview, a neighborhood where order and tranquility reign supreme. Every morning begins with the melodious chirping of beer birds, the gentle hum of sprinklers, and the rhythmic sound of footsteps as neighbors walk their dogs or head out for a jog. Pristine white homes with stately columns and meticulously manicured lawns reflect the status and affluence of their owners. Here, HOA rules are strictly enforced, and every detail of the environment is carefully curated. Into this picture-perfect world arrives Naomi Carter. She's 40 years old, of average height, with a warm chocolate complexion, neatly styled short curly hair, and clear brown eyes. Her style, sharp business suits paired with comfortable sneakers, marks her as someone accustomed to the pace of city life. Naomi drives into Lakeview in a sleek black Tesla that glides silently down the street before stopping at a large corner house with tall windows and a wide terrace. Naomi surveys her new home carefully. It's the house she bought for herself. A retreat from the city's hustle and bustle, but her arrival doesn't go unnoticed. Two women appear on the neighboring lawns, Marjorie and Betty, both in their 50s. They clearly take care of their appearances, though their athleisure wear looks more like a fashion statement than workout attire. Marjorie is a tall blonde with a polished hairstyle and bright makeup, while Betty, a fuller-figured brunette with soft features and a curious gaze, watches intently. The two women exchange glances as they observe Naomi. "Who's that?" Betty whispers, pointing at the Tesla. "I've never seen her before." Marjorie shakes her head clearly. She's a renter. The owner must not be from around here if they're renting to just anyone oblivious to their stares. Naomi retrieves a small box of documents from her trunk and heads to the front door. Her movements are purposeful, her expression focused. This irritates Marjorie. She didn't even say hello. Arrogant, just like I thought. Marjorie snaps, "I think we should inform the HOA." Betty nods. "I agree, her noisy movement is already annoying." She doesn't fit in here the next day. Marjorie and Betty file a complaint with the HOA, accusing Naomi of disruptive behavior during her move-in. It's the first step in their unofficial campaign against her. Naomi learns about the complaint when she receives a letter from the Homeowners Association. She reads it carefully, feeling a bitter sense of frustration. What are they trying to prove, she wonders, instead of letting her emotions take over? She chooses to ignore the incident, brushing it off as a temporary misunderstanding. But deep down, Naomi knows this is just the beginning. The next morning, Naomi steps outside to check her mail. The morning sun illuminates the wide path leading to her door, and the air is filled with the scent of blooming flowers. However, something unusual catches her attention. Her mailbox, usually empty, is overflowing. Naomi retrieves the letters and finds several anonymous notes. One of them reads in bold letters, "Go back where you came from." Another says, "This neighborhood isn't for people like you." Rage boils inside her, but she forces herself to stay calm. Meanwhile, Marjorie and Betty sit at a cafe on the corner, plotting their next move. They've started spreading rumors among other neighbors, claiming Naomi is just a tenant who won't be here long. Joining their conversation is Thomas, a 65-year-old white man with silver hair, thick eyebrows, and a stern demeanor, known as a watchdog of the neighborhood. Thomas prides himself on enforcing community rules. "I heard she parked her Tesla too close to the corner of my lot." Thomas announces, "That's a violation. I'll call the police soon." Police officers pull up in front of Naomi's house. Two white officers in uniform approach her door. Naomi, dressed in black jeans and a white shirt, opens the door calmly, though a storm brews inside. "How can I help you?" she asks evenly. "We received a report about improper parking." One officer explains, nodding toward her. Tesla Naomi takes a deep breath and pulls her keys from her pocket. "That's my car, and this is my home. May I ask who filed this complaint?" The officers exchange uncomfortable glances. One of them mumbles an apology. "Sorry for the trouble, ma'am. Everything seems fine." As the officers leave, Naomi closes the door and sits on her couch, reflecting on how much longer she'll have to endure such treatment. Meanwhile, Thomas, Marjorie, and Betty celebrate their small victory, unaware that their actions are only strengthening Naomi's resolve to stand her ground at the next HOA meeting, held in the spacious conference room of the local club. About 20 residents gather the room. Hums with subdued chatter and skeptical glances cast toward Naomi Carter, who has decided to attend this time. Naomi looks impeccable. A sharp black suit emphasizes her professional demeanor, and delicate gold jewelry adds a touch of elegance. She carries a leather folder exuding confidence. Marjorie, wearing her official smile, opens the meeting. She presents new proposals, claiming they are meant to enhance the neighborhood's security. Among them is a suggestion to impose stricter rules on renting properties to maintain community standards. "We all know our community needs to be protected from transient individuals," she says pointedly. Glancing at Naomi, Betty nods eagerly and Thomas furrows his brow as if deep in thought. Naomi raises her hand to speak. Her calm composure contrasts sharply with the tension in the room. Rising to her feet, she straightens her shoulders and surveys the attendees. "Let me clarify why this proposal is baseless." She begins, locking eyes with Marjorie. "My name is Naomi Carter. I own the house on the corner of Lakeview and 6 other homes in this neighborhood. All of them are under my management." "Yes, that's correct. I'm an investor." The room falls silent. A murmur ripples through the crowd. Marjorie's face pales, her manicured hands nervously shuffling papers. "To be clear," Naomi continues, "many of you who rent homes in Lakeview are renting them from me. Your complaints about me disrupting the community, you're directing them at the property owner, me." Betty tries to stammer something about a misunderstanding, but her voice is drowned out by the room's murmurs. Thomas, usually so loud and self-assured, stares at the floor. Naomi presses on. "If this HOA continues to tolerate discriminatory behavior, I will have no choice but to involve my legal team. Believe me, I have the resources to do so. There's no room for prejudice or injustice in this community." Her words hit like a thunderclap. Naomi calmly returns to her seat, leaving the room in stunned silence. After the meeting, word of Naomi's speech spreads quickly. Social media buzzes with posts about the discrimination in Lakeview. Naomi shares her story in a heartfelt post which goes viral. The hashtags had "Fight for Equality" and #Lakeview Against Bias gain traction, and support pours in from strangers online. Thousands of comments encourage her. "You showed them who boss, and thank you for standing up for what's right." The overwhelming attention affects Lakeview residents as well. Marjorie and Betty, realizing the gravity of their misstep, begin to change their behavior a few days after the meeting. Marjorie shows up at Naomi's door with a pie, looking awkward. "I wanted to apologize. I think we got off on the wrong foot," she says, offering the dish. Naomi, holding back a smile, thanks her but doesn't immediately forgive. Betty follows suit, inviting Naomi over for tea to mend fences. Even Thomas, though he doesn't apologize, outright starts greeting her with a nod when passing by. Weeks later, the atmosphere in the neighborhood shifts. Naomi begins to notice more smiles than judgmental glares, and residents seek her advice on real estate matters. She realizes her struggle was not in vain. Naomi's story becomes a lesson for all of Lakeview. She proves that bias and hatred can be overcome with strength, confidence, and a steadfast commitment to justice. True change begins with the courage of one person, and that courage has the power to transform everything.